You ready? The meeting of Timberville Town Council order, February 8th, 2024. Please stand and join the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Okay, we have several minutes for approval today. We have the public hearing on the rezoning application for Tractor Supply, and we have the regular council meeting that we had on January 11th. Any questions, changes, amendments, anything like that on the minutes? If not, I need a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Debbie. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Isaac. Any further discussion? Okay, around the room.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Carl. Treasurer's report. Everyone has Linda's treasurer's report. Any questions on any of the monies noted on the treasurer's report? Okay, keep on moving. Bills for payment. You have your list of your bills. Any questions on any of the line items that need clarifying or anything like that?
I have one, number 26 of these community outreach, $1,436. What's community outreach?
That's typically what the police departments, is it
I
them?
think the pizza party for Plains is included in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's what we budget each year for the activities where we have the officers go over to the schools and different things. Yeah.
That was the pizza instead of the shop with the cop.
Yes.
We did the pizza this
And
year.
yeah, each of the kids got a baggie of goodies, so.
Any other questions? Then I need a motion, folks.
Make a motion, we pay the bills.
Thank you, Sharon. Do I have a second? I'll second it. Thank you, Clarence. Round room.
Yes.
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 While we're on bills, next month, everybody kind of we've been notified by Broadway that our sludge fee will probably be higher next month because they can't, because of the frozen ground, they couldn't do land application right now. So they've already given us an estimate of what it's going to be. So it'll be higher than what it normally is. So when y'all get your bills next month, if you remember that, that's why that was a little higher, in case I happen to forget to put that in.
Was it lower any other time?
Well, it runs about this normal, and then when they can do the land application, but then I guess for February with the ground being harder, it'll end up on next month's bills because they'll have to haul it somewhere to dispose of it instead of being able to land apply.
Oh, gotcha. I got you. So it's not they didn't do it, held it off. They had to haul it somewhere else. I got you. Okay. I guess the next one is, Chief, do you want to speak to this, or does Clint want to speak to this?
Let me
You start.
Yeah, well, let me give one piece of good news out of Richmond, because we don't always get good news out of Richmond. So, we've been notified that DCGS has been given money, assigned money to use to compensate police and sheriff's departments for mental health activities. So, emergency custody orders, temporary detention orders, which you've heard me talk about before, can tie up a lot of officer time, can keep people off the street. They're sitting with somebody who's in custody for a mental health evaluation. They can't be here patrolling the street or answering calls. It was being administered by a different agency, but now DCGS is doing it. And basically they send a ledger. It's like you write down the date, the time, how many hours it was, and you send it to them and they will reimburse you for that time. It's not anything convoluted, it's very streamlined. So our thought in the PD is if they're gonna compensate us, it may give us the ability to call in an officer and pay them overtime. That way we're not losing coverage in town, which is one of our biggest criticisms is we're stuck in this role of basically being a security guard for this person, and in the meantime, there's nobody here to respond at all to a citizen may have an emergency. So that we may be able to use that to offset the cost of paying someone overtime to do that. So,
And before, we were just eating it all, right?
yes, sir. It was just the cost of doing business before.
Right.
Now, it's only like $2 million or something that's been allocated, and I'm sure that a lot of departments are probably gonna be trying to get their time paid for. So I don't really know how far we'll go, but it's a move in the right
Yeah,
direction.
definitely.
That somebody somewhere recognizes it's a hardship on the police departments. Not so much like it's a personnel issue for us personally that's a hardship, but it's a hardship as far as coverage for the community. You know. So that's good news. Don't know how far we'll go, but they've made it a very streamlined process. So it should be easy for us to do it and her get a check and take care of it. So that's good news. The item that is specified under police report is consideration of police assistance pact. So this is something that, there's a couple points on that. There's already something in place in 2 different locations that's similar to this. There's a mutual aid with Rockingham County Sheriff's Office. The thing with that situation is that the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office is the agency basically in control of that agreement. So Bridgewater has a very large lawn party with 2 large parades, and they do not have the officers in order to be able to do that. So every year, they reach out to other agencies to have officers come help them under mutual aid. The way that's technically happening is Chief Reed is technically asking the sheriff for permission to ask for resources from someone else. So there's kind of a middle person. The towns don't have a simple way to go back and forth to help each other out without going through third party. The other one that is in similar fashion is there's a police agreement between Timberville and Broadway, and there is almost the exact same document between Bridgewater and Dayton. Difference with that is that essentially mirrors, for practical purposes, your jurisdiction. So essentially, if one of my officers is driving through Broadway and sees somebody speeding, they can write him a speeding ticket. Essentially, you have concurrent jurisdiction. So it takes away some of the technical stuff where you're getting on the radio, calling for a supervisor to get permission to respond. They just inherently, due to that agreement, they have jurisdiction in both towns. What Chief Reed has done is he has, in Bridgewater, drafted this document, which they're titling a Police Assistant Pact. That pact would be between all of the towns that are willing to sign it. At this point, it looks like it would probably also include the town of Shenandoah, which is important because Elkton and Shenandoah are close to each other. So it would likely include the town of Shenandoah, the town of Newmarket, which is important because Newmarket is close to us and Broadway, and then the 6 that are in Rockingham County, of which Bridgewater, Dayton, Grottoes, Elkton, and Timberville and Broadway. So at any point, one of the towns needed something, like say, you have a pandemic and everybody has COVID. Like Newmarket, can you come help patrol the town? Can you come over here every couple of hours and be seen in town? Yeah, absolutely. There's no way for us to do that with Newmarket now because there's no mutual aid agreement that involves them. It's only with the Sheriff's Office and Harrisburg Police Department and the 6 towns. So while it seems a bit redundant, it's different, if that makes sense. It cuts out kind of the middle person with the Sheriff's Office, and it makes it larger in including Newmarket and Shenandoah, which is important due to their proximity to other departments. And it's not as open as the police agreement that the neighboring towns have together. So I can't just go into Dayton in my police car and stop somebody writing a ticket without Chief Reed asking for assistance. Anybody have any questions?
I did have a question, actually
Sure.
2 questions. You were talking about lawn party, so if they're requesting help for lawn party purposes, would that take away our officers on duty for our town to go to Bridgewater and cover them for lawn parties? So we are without officers for that.
So there's language in the pact that says basically, if barring the officer causes a hardship for the other municipality, then the borrowing, the one that's enacting the mutual aid, will compensate the officers. So if Broadway's like, hey, can you, or Newmarket says, hey, can you come over here and like keep an eye on the town for 4 hours because we've had an officer involved shooting and all of our guys are tied up, can you answer calls? And we're over there for 4 hours, 8 hours. That's probably not gonna be the case where you do that. But planning something ahead of time, like, hey, we know we're gonna have an event, it's gonna be bigger than what we can handle. We're gonna have a big festival at the Rails to Trails and everything, which hopefully will happen. And you plan it, we need people there for 8 hours, then the municipality is gonna compensate for that. So Dayton does it for Redbud Festival and one of the other events, and Bridgewater does it for their lawn parties. So that
It's
precedent
like
starts.
overtime for the officer to go there.
Yeah, they pay, actually, they pay better than, almost better than overtime at their hourly rate, but that's what they do in order to get the officers to like voluntarily go there. It's like they pay them,
On their time.
kind of as a contractor kind of a deal.
Okay.
So they could borrow us, you know, in an emergent kind of situation, but if it was a pre-planned thing, you know, the way it's written in there, that it would be compensated for. And that's, I've never seen it done otherwise other than directly with the officer.
Okay. The second question was, in here it talks about liability and having to have a $3 million insurance policy for this, for the
Yeah,
officers.
you're looking in the wrong direction.
Is this something that's already covered under current insurance, or is this an additional plan that will have to be purchased for this specific need?
We'll have to check with VML, but I figure it would probably be covered under our normal policy. So we can check with them and see, just to make sure. Everything else that we've ever checked with them on, as far as insurance goes, it's always been, you're covered
So
for
if our
that.
officers are offering mutual aid to another town and something happens,
Yeah.
then our current insurance most likely will be.
Yeah.
And talking with Reed, you know, that they already had that, so and
Okay.
I would expect that we would, but that's something.
You do get into some more details and intricacies when you, because I know LOTA's kind of different about which agency has to cover LOTA. If, say, one of our officers was in Broadway and something happened that there was a LOTA claim, I know that gets a little bit hairy, so, but we'll check on the insurance to make sure that it is more clear cut where ours does cover it.
LOTA being the line of duty, where it's, so when we had an officer that was involved in the shooting, was injured, needed to retire, part of his retirement is due to injury is covered under line of duty act. That's LOTA is what he's referring to.
The way the code is written for mutual aid agreements, I would be surprised if it's not already covered by the insurance, because the code is very explicit that like, you're allowed to enter into these type of agreements town to town, jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So for all intents and purposes, they're still our officers, so they would still be covered by our insurance policy.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
We did have.
I mean, it talks about injury to officers and stuff, but it also talks about property damage.
And that's where if
So,
there's property damage, that would be related, like, because we responded to the request and then something happened, we would probably defer that for them to cover any claim because we were responding to their request versus our policy.
Okay,
And I mean, if something were to happen and it was because we were responding to mutual aid, we would probably defer to their insurance policy to claim it first, and only if it wasn't covered by them would it be on us. But this is a pretty standard provision, in my opinion, about having that policy in place just for the unforeseen circumstance.
There's definitely.
thank you.
So
Yeah.
and if the council votes and passes a document today and sets it up to allow it, you know, it doesn't mean that I even have to sign it, it just gives me the ability to sign it.
To that point, chief and council, logistically, this is going before the town of Bridgewater, their next meeting, which I think is the 13th, next week.
I was thinking 14th, but
Well, whatever it is,
Yeah.
next week. So I think it's something that you all can consider and think about, but I probably wouldn't vote on it in terms of us having a resolution ready to go until after they've passed it. But we can have a resolution prepared and ready to go for next month.
okay.
So we can at that time verify your question about that.
But I think, you know, if council wants to discuss it or consider it, then we could at least, chief could advise them, chief to chief, hey, we're in support of this, as soon as you all pass it, we're likely to pass our same responding resolution.
Yeah, and the ones that I've talked to, I haven't talked to the ones outside the county, but the departments inside the county all either have a tentative agreement with council or the council's on board with it, or the other agencies that verbally.
Right, I just think we'll need, the way the statute is written, we would need a resolution authorizing the chief to sign the pact, but it's this governing body that has to vote yea or nay to enter into it. And my only reservation is I think you could discuss it and give them a tacit, yeah, this sounds like a good idea. If they do it, we'll join in.
Well, we don't want to kick it down the road too far, but we've lived without it this long, so I think 30 days would probably be.
Right.
It probably work.
We could probably, if we had to, do it under the sheriff's mutual aid if we needed to.
Yeah, if you had to, yeah.
Anyone have anything? Isaac, we,
I'm good, sounds good to me, makes
just
sense.
go around the table?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
No problem.
I think it's great to include Shenandoah and Newmarket, because Newmarket and us are so close.
4 miles
It's
apart.
crazy, yeah. So it's great to have them included. And I guess people have talked to Newmarket already, I guess.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so we'll have one question clarified next meeting, and we can have a vote. AC, it's up to you. Public Works, I know we got Chris's report.
Yeah, she's got Chris's report that he sent out. First thing I have on my list, council directed Quentin, it was last month or the month before, whenever it was, about addressing the free water issue and looking into that. We had a property that has come up for sale, it's being actively marketed, that is one of the free water customers. And so before it sold, I asked Quentin to prioritize that, so his office did some work on it. And I'm going to hand it over to Quentin to carry on the conversation from this point.
Yeah, so we started researching all those water line easements and found a memo, which I think we talked about last time. The subject property actually is part of 2 larger tracts, which both went back to 2 different groups. The short answer is, for the subject property that's for sale, either way you slice it, whether it was Group A or Group B, they wouldn't be entitled to free water anymore, because either it shouldn't have been granted to successors and heirs under one group, or Group B, it should have the free water should have terminated when the Timberville Water Corporation no longer existed, and they ceased to exist.
61?
Yeah, a couple of years ago. So, with that being said, my advice is for me to prepare a letter as a town attorney and send to the current owner and the realtor who has it listed, advising them that the new purchaser will need to set up an account and start paying for water after the sale is completed.
Is this a new house or an existing house?
It's an existing house.
Okay.
My advice is you have some people that are just using the water and paying for it at the town rate. And then you have a few people that are getting free water because of these water claims. I think in almost virtually every instance of somebody that's getting free water, the nature of that property has changed and the Timberville Water Corporation doesn't exist. Therefore, they should have to start paying for water.
Okay.
I do not think it is advisable for the town to cut off someone's water supply and make them dig a well when you already have water supply there. We don't want to supply water to people outside of town because we want to keep our riparian rights for residents, but when there's already a line there, I think it would be foolish. I think you're asking for a fight in that instance. So this will just be an instance where we're not even telling the current owner, we're just saying, you just need to make it clear that the new resident, once we see that transfer take place, they need to sign up like everyone else and start paying for the water.
It's an easy way
Yeah,
to fix it.
yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, a new purchaser is gonna be like, yeah, of course I have to pay for water.
Right. It's a little harder on people who've been getting it for 27 years to.
And that's where we think, talking to AC and Michelle, it's like, that's the best time to kind of intervene. And you've already been doing that in some instances, but we just want to have the backing of, the type of research which we've done for this property.
Yeah, more.
Next thing I have, with our last snow event, we received our reimbursement from VDOT, and it was over $12,000. So I think Chris put it pretty well that we're going to pay off that salt spreader a lot quicker than what we had anticipated with those types of reimbursement checks coming in. VDOT also contacted me and said they are progressing with the Macaulay Drive sidewalk project and plan to have it underway in the current fiscal year so that we avoid any other inflationary effects. I'm waiting on a call now from them about deeding a portion of the town property out here that would go towards that sidewalk, which won't be an issue because the sidewalks would go in where we don't want people driving through anyway. So it'll be a good maneuver. So that was positive to hear about that because we get these project notifications or notifications from different agencies that this is going on, and then we don't hear anything for months at a time. So it is good to have that validation that it is still proceeding. And then the last thing that I have on the list for Public Works, I received a call yesterday from a contact who has a client that's searching for property that would accommodate a small housing development. And this person was involved with some of the Quail Lane Farm property, specifically over behind Food Line. And he was asking what the status of all those properties were, all the Quail Lane Farm properties. And so I told him, I said, Tractor Supply's moving forward with the 5 acres on the north side of 211. And I told him, I said, I haven't heard anything else. Don and I had actually talked about this just a few days ago. And I said, well, I'm going to reach out to Mike Pugh, who's the realtor for that property. And I told this individual that. He said, well, I talked to Mike earlier today. He goes, I'll call him back. If I hear anything, I'll get back with you. So he reached out, and Mike told him, he said, all the properties are moving forward. They're still moving forward with the housing development behind Food Line. Obviously, Tractor Supply's moving forward. And he said, Mike told him that apparently there's somebody looking to put a contract on the property in between Walmart and Plains Elementary School that we heard about with a possibility. But the other interesting one was that apparently there may be a contract coming forward soon for the 1 acre parcel right next to Walmart's entrance off of 211. I haven't heard anything about that one, aside from
Where
it was
the water
pursued.
drains through?
Yeah, it's adjacent to that. It doesn't, but yeah, there's an area there that they've been marketing for quite a while, for several years now, trying to sell that. So that's
So that'd be right across from Tractor's.
right across from the Tractor Supply. So that's that was exciting to hear that too. That there may be something else that's somebody else that's looking at that. So
Wow.
very positive stuff on that end. So that's all I have on my list there. We do need to. We're going to do that now. Business and
You went
industry,
straight
which is
into,
next.
business industry already?
Good segue, huh?
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions on Public Works?
The only question I have is, I know we voted on the contract, or voted on the person to build the water line,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess that's still advancing.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We have one of the easements procured, and we're still working on the other one, so I need to talk to Quentin about that and get some updates or see what the latest is on the status of that.
They requested a modification to the deed, which I'm making and presenting to them. It's just a matter of, there's 2 people you have to go through to get to.
And Chris is, and I'm assuming Chris is working on the addition to the building, the maintenance facility. That's still going, I guess.
As far as planning to do it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we want to get all this.
Yeah, that's another thing I have on the list to talk to Quentin about as far as any kind of PPEA design build type, because that's a newly adopted thing that we have to see how that might work into that project. So
Because when do we have to have plans in place for all that money? The 20.
it has to be allocated by the end of this year.
Okay.
It has to be spent by 2026.
Right,
So as long as we have it allocated by the end of this
So
year.
we need to get those big projects done so we can allocate the remainder of this
Right.
upcoming budget, hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. and I guess we're down to consideration of tractor supply rezoning, right? Do we have a recommendation from the plan commission?
Yeah, planning commission talked about it. It really wasn't a whole lot to talk about. As anybody that was in attendance, at the public hearing, there was no public comment. All the questions that the planning commission had come up with in the previous month, the tractor supply, the engineers for the tractor supply came back and had addressed all of those in the rezoning plat. So, planning commission unanimously recommends to council to approve the rezoning of the property for tractor supply.
And then once it's rezoned, you will see the plans.
Yeah,
that
they'll
make
still
sure-
go through that entire process.
Make sure it has sidewalks and make sure it has the lighting right, make sure all the others.
Yeah, county of the rest,
VDOT,
stormwater,
county.
VDOT stuff, right, exactly.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on the rezoning? I think they've answered all the questions we've had. Then we have a recommendation from the planning commission. We need a motion from council for rezone.
I'll make the motion to rezone.
Thank you, Clarence. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Come the room.
Yes.
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 Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else in business industry? I think you covered.
Under business and industry, we have a new business that is opening up at where Curtis Canuck used to have his car lot. It's called Hotland Motors, and it's a young gentleman who's, I think it's his first foray into entrepreneurship, into owning his own business.
What's the name again?
It's Hotland Motors, yeah, Hotland Motors. And the sign, actually, when I had to drive down today, they put the sign up today for it. So he's really getting into that.
So it's basically a garage, or is it a?
It's a used car
Used
sales.
car lot, okay.
Yep. And then I received a notice from the county today, yesterday, a couple days ago, about they have a new system that they use for zoning and building permits and stuff. But it came through, so I got a notice that about a restaurant going into the old drugstore on the corner. So we know they've been doing a lot of work down there, and so they haven't been in touch with the town yet to, I guess, get their business license, or I haven't actually talked to them yet as far as any questions they might have. So we'll see how.
Do we know anything about what type of restaurants or anything like
We,
I can say the rumor.
that? I've heard rumors too. People have asked me, and I
Oh.
said, I don't know anything official, so.
Otherwise, there's the rumors, right, say rumor, or.
Okay.
and since the county sent it over, I'll go ahead and say it. It's Mr. Garcia's out of
Shenandoah.
Shenandoah. It's
Shenandoah.
Mexican restaurant, so, yeah. So we're excited to have another eatery in town. Be good use for that property. And it works out well with because the property's under the ownership of the same person owns the adjacent property. Because, the parking around the old drugstore is kind of limited, but because of the property owner having the adjacent property, they have that big parking lot over there, they can use that as their overflow parking. So it works out well in that whole scheme.
Okay. A lot going on.
It is a lot going on.
Just needs to go on. A lot of talking, we just need to get it
Yeah,
going.
somebody needs to pull the trigger on something, get some of these developments going, yeah.
Agree. Okay, any other questions or comments on business industry? Okay, Parks and Rec? Kind of cold, not a lot to talk about in Parks and Rec right now.
I know Cecilia's working on some different things, looking into the logistics of some different events that we can utilize the American Legion Park for and our new stage and things like that. So hopefully some of that stuff rolling. I know I saw boxes out in the front office of Easter eggs a couple weeks ago, so that's going to be coming. That's yeah, I don't remember the date exactly.
March 23rd.
There you go.
Okay. So that'll be coming up, and
That's right.
that's all that I can think of for Parks and Rec right now.
Okay. And then I guess you got the bathroom, that contract's been
it's on the list to talk to Quentin about as far as the contract for that goes. They sent a contract over for the American Legion Park bathroom.
You sent it to me too? All right, I'll have to.
All roads lead back to Lynch.
I've
So
got a
if
whole
they've been
list.
sick, they're passing everything off to me or
I've
something.
got a whole list of things to talk to you guys.
Okay, finance, I'm assuming we're gonna be starting the budget meeting.
We will,
Discussions coming up.
everybody has a copy of the financial report that we got this week, so.
Have you reviewed it yet? Have you-
Oh, yeah, I had to go through it and, because I have to do the management's discussion and analysis, so
Okay,
it's grueling.
okay.
So
So what's a positive?
it is positive.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I wanted.
No, yeah, just the going through it
Yeah.
part is grueling.
Okay.
No, it is
Okay.
positive.
The report itself wasn't grueling, or the.
The results were not grueling.
Okay, that's
It's just
good.
the process we're going through.
Okay, cool. Personnel, anything chief, AC?
No, sir.
Employees dealing with work and family life, and lots of family life stuff, so.
Yeah, and some illnesses too, and I'm glad you all give
Illnesses all
us
over.
plenty of time to heal and stuff like that.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, and you're staying away from everybody,
yeah.
the right thing to do. Plains District Memorial Museum, you got something for us, Sharon?
Yeah. You want
I'm
that to
gonna,
go
I'm
first?
splitting it up, and let you go
You
first.
will let me
today.
go first, great. Okay, February 18th, this, of course, is Black History Month. We're having guest speakers Will DeWine, William Vaughn, and Vern Linger. The new exhibit is up, Books and Works by Local Historians of the 20th Century. Last month, we had 128 visitors.
Okay, awesome.
And we were closed, 3 days?
For snow,
Yeah.
good deal. You ready?
Most of the things tonight from the Ezra Minute, you remember a couple of years ago, we got these diaries from 1901, I think the other was 1887 or something like that. That's what some of this is from. The Timberville Creamery Company Incorporated started in 1912. At the close of business, June 1st, 1913, there had been 56,212 pounds of butter sold. Received for butter, ice cream, buttermilk, and so forth was $18,469.81. Mr. Ezra Minnick was the first president of the Timberville Creamery. Miller Jones Store advertised and sold the famous high brand shoes for men. They also had a full line of women's and children's shoes, staple and fancy groceries, tobacco and cigars. They had a soda fountain and all kinds of soft drinks and ice cream. Miller Jones was sold in 1918 and it became Kip's store. Now I've got the book when the transaction took place, and if I remember right, I think it sold for $10,500. And I'm assuming that was the land and the building and all the contents of the store. Of course, in 1918, $10,500 was a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
So I'm pretty sure that would have been for the whole property. So
Yeah.
I ended up getting that book years ago. And January 12th, 1875, Tyus Minnick ordered 1/2 barrel of butter and 1 firkin of lard and was shipped from Washington, D.C. to Timberville by the Adams Express Company. D.M. Bean was the agent. And I've come across D.M. Bean, Daniel Bean, he was a Timberville guy. I've come across his name dozens of times over the years. In fact, I went out in the old cemetery at Raiders today and looked at his tombstone. That won't mean anything, I guess. 1919, dog tax was $1. E.R. Neff was probably the first constable in Timberville. His first name was Erasmus, and they called him Raz. He was a Civil War veteran. He was born in 1839 and died in 1921. And I got to thinking today, I knew his daughter from way back in the 1950s, and she was an old lady then. She used to come out to the store and visit with Aunt Claire, and they would sit there and just talk and talk. You know. But I didn't realize then that where she belonged, really. Oh, I've got a document here. It's the heading is Minnick and Earhart, but this has got to do with reparations from the Civil War. It's kind of interesting, and this is Tyus Minnick, and I saw his tombstone today too. He was born in 1776 and died in I think 1830 something, I think. But anyway, I'm not sure whether he was the grandfather of Ezra Minnick or not. I'm sure it's the same family. But here's some of the things they had. Seven heads of horses, 5 cows, 12 head of cattle, and I can't tell how many fat hogs, and 2 barrels of flour. That was $8. So I should give the prices. The horses were $160, and the cows were $25, and 12 head of cattle was $20, and one carriage was $100, and one threshing machine, $500. And one saddle, $12. 350 bushel of corn, $1. I guess that's $1 a bushel, I'm assuming.
Yes.
And 500 bushel of wheat, $1.60 a bushel. And 10 tons of hay was $12. And down at the bottom is kind of a neat note, taken by Phil Sheridan's men going up the valley while burning barns. So that was our famous burning of the valley. That's what this. I got the real document at home. This is just a copy here.
What year was that?
Well, the burning was 1864.
No, but
But the date on this, they put in for reparations in 1870. And so this might even been later than that. Maybe they put in for reparations at different times, I'm not sure.
okay,
But this don't actually have a date on it.
okay.
Anyway, this thing in notation about Phil Sheridan's men taking the stuff, that was kind of neat, you know.
Does that say he got paid, or is that what he put in?
That's what they put in, but you know, that big 50 book they made, like my great grandfather out across from Rager's Church,
Okay.
he put in $4,008 because the Sheridan's men raided his place. They burned the fields and all, and but they didn't burn the barn. But he had 6,000 rails he put in for that was one of the last rail fences in Rockingham County. The Yankees would take them down and make their campfires at night. He put in for 6,000 rails, and I don't know how many horses and sheep and cattle. And a lot of people in that book you could read, they put in for maybe $65 worth of stuff, $127 or whatever. He put in for $4,008, and at the end of his section in that book, denied.
Oh,
He didn't
yeah.
see it. And it's almost all were like that. I think I saw 2 different places in that book where they granted the compensation, but almost every one of them was denied. And of course, another little side note, I'll quit here in a minute. My great-grandfather's oldest son was fighting for the Confederacy in the Civil War, and these people doing the reparations found out about that. He didn't have a chance of getting anything. Yeah, really, I think that's what it amounted to. I got one more.
Okay.
1914, Harry F. Byrd was the examiner of records for the 17th Judicial District. He wrote to, I guess, Ezra Minnick for tax records. Who would have thought that 13 years later he would be in Timberville as the governor with Charles Lindbergh.
Oh, wow.
Thanks,
Oh,
sir.
and I do have something else.
Okay.
Where was Ziegler Pottery? Tell them where Ziegler Pottery was.
The pottery itself, down where Godfather's Pizza is. You see, the farm's on the other side of the road, but his pottery was right straight across the road where the filling station is.
Well,
That's where the pottery was at.
anyway, last week, Lachlan sold a 2-gallon pitcher from the Ziegler Pot, $35,000. And it had a lot of cracks in it. And then the museum, we sold a wagon that was just taking up a lot of space, and we sold it for $1,900.
Wow, $35,000.
$35,000
Wow.
for the pitcher.
Okay.
So the moral to the story is, it pays to be a hoarder.
It doesn't pay unless you're 110 years old.
Well, your kids.
Yeah, your kids to be a quarter. Okay, any other business the council to bring forth?
I got something I just wanted to run by fast. I've had a few people that's talked to me, and I've said a few comments before about the golf carts on the road. And I don't know if somebody can shoot me down. The only article of law that I've been able to find trying to read the Virginia codes says the governing body of any county, city, or town may by ordinance authorize the operation of golf carts and utility vehicles on designated public highways within its boundaries. So unless somebody knows something I don't, that means that we have the ability, if that's correct, to say, hey, we want to let golf carts ride in this district of roads is 25, or here like Bridgewater and Elkton does. And I know 42 is run through us as well as Bridgewater, but that's something that I don't think would be any issue at all, and it's not going to make a very big group of people happy, but I think it'd be cool to see, especially with all the stuff that's coming into town, that's going to be small restaurants and small parking lots. I think for the people that do have golf carts, especially if it was some kind of registration or inspection that was paid annually to, the police department, that says, hey, they come out and inspect your cart and say, make sure it has turn signals and, blinkers and brake lights, headlights to operate on the roadways. And, maybe they get 10 people with a $50 sticker on there. I mean, that's a few bucks towards the town, plus giving a small handful of people what they want. And not to put anything more on the police department, but during the day they get a phone call, it's like, hey, can you come out here and inspect my golf cart, make sure it has lights, turn signals, whatever, slap a inspection sticker on it, $50, and kind of have like a little pop maybe for the police department. And the only upside to the town really would be a few bucks in the police department, and giving a small group of people what they want, maybe some not as many parking issues if we're looking at some restaurants and stuff coming into town. I don't think personally it would be any amount of golf carts or utility vehicles on the road, you know what I'm saying? I just think with the rails to trails and all the stuff looking into the near future coming in, maybe it would be cool if you had 20 people in town that were riding their golf carts. I mean, we get a little restaurant over here on the corner, I tell you, I'd have a golf cart riding over to the restaurant, you know what I mean? And I just wanted to run it by, because if I'm correct, and maybe he would know more than any of us, that's the only law that I can find.
So, I know it was brought up, the planning commission considered it before, and, it can always be brought up again.
Right.
We need to look into it a little bit more. I think, my understanding was that you can, if a locality makes it legal for golf carts to ride on the road, that's different than having golf cart inspections. Because I think, and I could be wrong on this, but I was told that if you can get a golf cart actually roadworthy now, and even if the locality doesn't have something in place, if a locality allows it to occur, then it's just, all you have to do is have the warning triangle in the back. You don't have to have turn signals and everything. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, that's my understanding. If it's approved by the municipality, there's just certain things they have to have, including a slow-moving vehicle plan.
But I think the way and again, I haven't delved into it that much, but I think the way the code is written, there may be a way that people could just now go and modify a golf cart that actually makes it a legal street vehicle, and the locality doesn't have to do anything. I think if a locality does something, it kind of lowers the requirements. Yeah, that lowers the standards for what you have to do.
I was just curious if it was left up to, the municipality, or if it was left up to us, could we not make our own rules that would in return bring a small amount of income yearly to, say, the police department? I mean, if it's left up to us and they're legal on the road, do we have the authority to say, yes, we're going to let them run on the road under this condition? It's an inspection like a vehicle, and this is what it requires. This is the fee. I know Broadway, I guess, got to the stage of voting on it, and then they were one short on passing it. Here.
I think it came to a tie, didn't it? Didn't it come to a tie?
I don't know if it was a tie or if they were.
I think Mayor Proctor at the time, since he was going out of office, he didn't want to. I think he wasn't comfortable voting to break the tie or something like that, and put them into something where a new governing body would have to deal with it or whatever. So it might have gotten tabled up there, but I know, it definitely came up before then. They've gone through quite a process.
I didn't know if it was something we could maybe,
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have the authority to do it.
I'd have to understand more about it, because I don't want 12-year-olds driving a golf cart up and down Timberville.
I think it had to have a
You have to be licensed,
No,
okay, so I don't know all
this
that.
was- Did it come
And-
before council,
It-
or was it just the planning commission?
I think
Because
it's
it
planning
was
commission. I
denied.
think it's-
Planning Commission reviewed it and, I'd have to go back and look at this. Yeah, I don't know if,
Something came up, but I don't remember.
It was, yeah.
or if the Planning Commission made a recommendation to council to deny it that when it came up before.
Because I also have questions about, I know, and tell me if I'm wrong, Bridgewater, you can't cross,
Main
you
streets.
can't cross Main Street. So
Right, the main
the way our
street.
town is, you couldn't get to the restaurant you're talking about from your house. You couldn't be, does our town, is it advantageous if we did it even for our town to work? But you can't go from here to get to Walmart.
Right.
And you can't go from that Sharon's neighborhood to get to Walmart. So it seems like the way it's written, you'd only be able to drive right around your own little neighborhood.
Yes.
If I'm right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it is too.
So does it-
That was gonna be my comment also.
So is it that beneficial, you know? Now, once you get around some trails, if you're allowed to ride on the trail, you might be able to get all
and
over.
there's, you don't think there's any way that VDOT would give a crossway?
I don't think
Well, I don't know, because I know in Newmarket had
did
looked
they?
at it before, and there were certain designated spots where you could cross Main Street, but that was all you could do. It was a perpendicular maneuver across Main Street, yeah. So I think there is something that sets it up where
Me-
you might be able to move across a,
But is that different if it's, the streets controlled by VDOT or if it's controlled by the municipality? Like, would you, we
Well,
have,
you can go
we
across
control the
the line.
streets to set that based on certain parameters, or would VDOT do it
yeah, I don't know how that,
at or 3,000 threshold?
yeah, I don't know how that would work, because even once we hit the 3,500, VDOT still maintains primaries. So,
I mean,
yeah, I don't know
you
how
can't
that.
cross primaries, it's almost a non-issue because you can't really get anywhere,
Yeah.
except going from your friend down the road, if you have a friend down the road kind of thing.
When this came up before, you cannot cross primary road.
Okay.
I do know that.
Well, but Newmarket, that's how they were gonna do it, was because they had designated
But they
spots.
only have 2 lanes. We have 4.
Well, it depends on where you're at on the primary
Yeah,
road.
but out here, it's 4 to consider.
Yeah, but
Because I remember-
but once you get down to 211.
Right.
I mean, 211 is only 2 lanes, and north of 211 on Main Street is only 2 lanes too, so.
So would it really be an issue if it was, if it was only on, 25 or less, no main line roads, like that would give the availability to the Spar Mine subdivision and American Legion and down here? I mean, would that be an issue if it was to say that they can't cross?
Right, in their own subdivision.
I mean, just to give the ability to the small handful of people to say, yeah, it's fine, you can ride to your neighbor's house. You can't touch the line roads, but, you can ride. I mean, would that, well, I guess you'd be the one patrolling the police department. Would that be a,
Yeah, but I mean, we're servants to the community, so it's whatever council decides is what we manage.
would that be a huge headache or maybe something we could?
In all honesty, from a police standpoint, it's not that big deal, it's just one more thing, and if something like that was passed, people live here would figure out what the rules were and how to follow it, and if we had an outlier or a problem with someone, we do it like we do with everything else, we just look at it as a problem to be resolved and deal with it. It's one of those things, if the council wanted to do it, we would manage it. There's nothing we can't do.
I could see it like in a Legion Hills neighborhood like that, different things like that. It just scares me a little bit with the way you got main road here, main road there, and that kind of thing. I'd have to know a little bit more about it.
Yeah, and the only thing that came up, these are the minutes from August 12th, 2021, and it says that the planning commission met to consider golf carts on town streets. They decided that Timberville streets aren't conducive to safe golf cart travel, so they recommended for council not to consider adopting this ordinance. I don't see that there was a vote taken anywhere by council. It was just been, I don't know if it was just dropped or council just didn't even take it into consideration.
Do you want to send it back to the planning commission and see if they modified it, like Isaac said, would they be interested in the
I
proposal?
think council can absolutely do that.
But the council would have to recommend that, right? Or-
Council would have to recommend to send it to planning commission.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it was done.
But I know
before.
at that time, I remember, it was because of the 4 lanes, people on this side of town could not get across. And also the fear of all the tractor and
The
trailers.
trucks were the big.
That
thing.
was
Yeah, I
the biggest
remember,
fear,
yeah, if I
was
remember
traffic.
correctly, that was when I was on planning commission, and it was just like, given the amount of traffic, and some of the streets were so narrow, and we have blind intersections, and we just decided to err on the side of caution and forego passing that ordinance. If I remember correctly, but that was like 2.5 years ago, so.
The council can bring it up again. Council can direct.
I mean,
it
I'm
to-
just, if it was strictly online roads, you know, and it was maybe give a few people what they want, the small group of people that have golf carts and, you know, subdivisions, just to go ride around, you know, with their kids, dogs, whatever, this summer, I don't see that it would be a whole lot of issue in my eyes. As long as, you know, not saying we need to sit down and figure out how we can get a crossway on 42, which maybe down the road we could.
Yeah, that won't be a hard one for me to consider, because people,
Right, just fly through.
it's hard enough for people just to drive across that intersection.
Well, we're still trying to get that crosswalk, or we,
Well, they're trying to do it
Yeah.
this year, yeah.
yeah.
But, I mean, I got no problem if the council wants to send it back to that limited scope, you know, neighborhood to neighborhood kind of thing. You know, I guess that would mean if I wanted to ride to
My house.
your house, I couldn't drive to your house.
Oh, that's right, yeah, because it's Church
Right,
Street's line,
I can
yeah.
make a left and drive around my neighborhoods
Yeah.
over on,
Would that be
You
an
drive over
HOA
T-bills,
type
that'd be
of
fun.
question? I mean, if it's like.
I don't know
HOA.
that there's actually an exclusion about, like, because the code section is pretty clear on crossings. It's 46.2-916.3, and it's the limitation on golf carts and utility vehicle operations on designated public highways. There's provisions that you're only allowed to do it on streets that are 25 miles an hour or less. And then there's several provisions about crossings, so we would probably want to designate where you're allowed to cross. And then there's a huge thing at the bottom, like Isaac said, the governing body of any county, city, or town may by ordinance impose additional restrictions or limitations on the operation of golf carts, but it can't be more restricted, it can't be less restrictive than these, like you can't make it easier. So there are other towns in the state of Virginia that have adopted all these regulations, so it would be easy for us to look at those and have a, you know, proposed draft ordinance to look at. But I think it would really be more for the police department and for public works and, you know, administrative office to look at maybe some other towns and how they've been regulated and how it would work in the town if it's something that you actually want to pursue. And I found a couple already that I could send to AC and Chief just to look at. Because you get into parking issues, where they can be parked, where they can't be parked, making sure that they're not operated on sidewalks, whether we want to have them inspected in some way, what type of decals they need to have, who's allowed to operate them. We need to give the chief or the town manager authority to put a prohibition if there's any, you know, fog or bad weather or things like that. There's liability disclaimers we need to put in there. You know, it's like a good idea, but it's a pretty hefty ordinance looking at some of these other towns that have adopted it. Doesn't mean it can't be done, it's just, you know.
But with the crossing and parking, those are probably towns that don't have a main road going through. That's probably saying town limits or golf cart friendly, correct? With
It's hard to
parking.
tell. I mean, I'd have to look at the ordinances and then look at the map. Most towns are going to have a VDOT controlled road going through town because they're gonna have a primary road at some point.
Mm.
It's just a matter of if that road is 25 miles an hour through the main thoroughfare.
Right. So if our ordinance was 20, or we stuck to just the subdivisions and it was, you know, 25 mile an hour unlined roads within town, you know, they wouldn't be allowed on any main roads over 25. It would just strictly be the subdivisions, you know, which would be Church Street, Spartan, American Legion, Granny Smith, this whole square down here. Then you wouldn't have any issues about worrying parking or, correct, you wouldn't have to worry about where they could park or anything else. They just would be on the road like a vehicle. Or I guess you'd still have the sidewalk. They couldn't drive on the sidewalk, even on the back roads. Yeah, I just wanted to, maybe if it's something we could look into. Yeah, I think it'd be cool.
We can send it, if the council wants to, we can send it back to the planning commission, let them to look at it at limited scope and see if they're interested. But the council has to vote to send it to the planning commission for review, correct? Okay. So you can make a motion, send it to planning commission review and see if it goes anywhere.
I'd like to make a motion, send it to planning commission.
Okay, do I have a second? If there's no second, the motion dies. Any second? Yeah, the motion dies. Sorry.
You were thinking about it.
No,
You must have a golf cart.
No, I do not have a golf cart.
I don't have a golf
No, what I was gonna say is, Quentin said he already found some municipalities that have created their own ordinances. It's not that I'm saying no forever. I would just like the opportunity to do some more research.
Just send it to planning, not put it into.
No, I know. I just want to see how other people have done before,
I don't think it's a hurry. I just would like to
So you
at
like,
least send it to the planning commission so they could do the work to.
so you want AC to show you some examples before you send it on?
Well, I just want to see how involved it is and if it's worth the time and the energy, going in and revisiting it so soon after we've already addressed it.
Statutes worth the squeaking.
Yes, thank you.
So we'll have AC get a couple examples of communities and you can hand out to council and you can choose if you still don't want to do anything or if you want to send it on further. Does that sound good? Okay. Any other business? Either side. Okay. Public comment. We got a couple visitors. Anybody want to make any comments? If you do, come on up, introduce yourself. And now's the time. Come on up.
The panic for us.
Hi, my name is Stephen Cox. I'm my fiance now bought a house recently up on the north part of town over the river, and last fall, and we love being residents. And just wanted to say something to you all. Maybe not here enough, but thank you all very much for all the great work that you're doing. So we've enjoyed so far all the Christmas lights and decorations and everything, and the way the town's kept. And, I'm one of those crazy people that went back and actually viewed past town council meetings on YouTube. Sorry, I have my master's in public administration, so I was like, oh, what do they do? But just wanted to say thanks for what you're doing. Look forward to being here, and really excited about the Shenandoah Rails Trails, and thank you all for supporting that initiative. And that was actually something that brought us to look at Timberville specifically.
Okay.
Was bringing us to that area, and then the access to North Fork as well. So I didn't know if it had ever been considered or already adopted about anything about dark skies initiatives or anything for the street lights or anything.
So,
I didn't.
Rockingham County, I believe, has adopted the Dark Skies Initiative, and we kind of just play under their umbrella. And so anytime we have, like with Tractor Supply coming in, that's one of the things that they'll have to meet the Dark Sky Initiative for that. Street lights are kind of weird because those are Dominion street lights, and we have got to the point yet where we've been able to come in and put our own in. It's something I've been thinking about for well over a decade now. Lots of logistic issues with it, especially the north end of town, with sidewalk there and stuff.
Right.
But Dominion kind of controls all the streetlight stuff right now, and we don't have a whole lot of say-so in that, even though we pay the hefty bill. So.
Okay. Well, if there's ever consideration, I can sit on my porch at night and read book.
Yeah.
So, but thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks
That
for
doesn't
coming.
happen often.
Yeah, thanks for coming. You're invited back anytime.
Yes.
And thanks for watching the YouTube videos. Yeah, it makes it feel like it's all worthwhile.
Anybody else want to make comments? You guys want to make some comments? You good? Okay, then no more comments, meeting's adjourned, thank y'all.
I just want to.
I didn't mean to put everybody on the spot.
I understand. My thing is like, I always just kind of